We are still at the top of the league table. Welcome back to the Arsenal podcast. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about, to be honest. We pretty much skipped one video against the game against Brighton. Again, quite of a big controversies around that game, knowing that that was the only Carabao Cup game that was not televised pretty much everywhere in this world. And again, it is something that I found that very weird. I found that very, very odd as well. Such a big game, Brighton versus Arsenal, Arsenal versus Brighton. There's no way you are not going to televise that game. I don't know what's the reason behind it, but certainly, there are cameras out there. Well, there was a highlight for that game, so I assume that why not just use those cameras and televise to the whole world. It's going to help them financially, but at the same time, still don't quite know why they did not televise that game. But unfortunately, we did not advance in the Carabao Cup, which is I find it very funny because at the same time, Chelsea lost that game, Spurs lost that game too, and United, of course, won it. City won it, and I'm pretty sure this cup is pretty much belongs to either United or City at this point. But speaking of that game, apparently what I heard is that, Nketiah and also Nelson had a pretty good game for both of them. And of course, Nelson with a very good run and provide and crucial assist to Nketiah. And he puts that one away. A very lovely finish as well. First time finish, pretty much around outside the post and just curls that one in. And that was 1-0. And later on, Karl Hein, I think that's how to pronounce his name, has become the second Estonian football player to represent, to play for Arsenal. Of course, the first player was Mart Poom back in 2005 or 2006, around that season, if not 2006 to 2007. I barely have any memories of him, but certainly Karl Hein is definitely of course, kind of a main topic because third choice goalkeeper making a debut for Arsenal, and we have Matt Turner in goal as well. But again, a very odd choice not using Matt Turner in that game. I know that despite Arteta claims that he was going to put a very strong 11, turns out it was not a strong 11 at all. And of course, putting Karl Hein pretty much says everything. But at the same time, as an Arsenal fan, that is the cup at this point in time. That is the cup that we do not quite value. If you guys know what I mean. Even though for the past few years we did advance quite further in terms of the group stage or just the different stages and stuff. But again, for us, based on the circumstances right now, we were still at the top of the league at that point, but coming off a great win against Chelsea, you still want to finish the Wolves game off with a W, and we did today. But losing to the Brighton's game, I'm not quite fussed about it. But the only thing I'm fussed about was the fact that we couldn't watch the game, even though they lost. But I would still want to comment on that game if possible, because based on the starting 11, we are not good enough. We were not good enough to go forward or even go in defense. And based on our squad players, this reserve team are not good enough. So we're not good enough at all. And even for Europa, we don't quite have a game where we won comfortably. Arguably, Bodo Glimt was the game where I felt that we won quite comfortably at one point. But pretty much in other 5 group stages, despite we had good games, but at the same time, they are not as good as the Premier League starting 11. And of course, adding more qualities in terms of the depth area, it's a must in the January transfer window. Thank God Carabao Cup is out of the way. I know we got banter around here and there from other clubs, but at the same time, for an Arsenal fan, I'm not disappointed with that at all. So, you know what? Cedric making his, first start, I believe, in a few months. He was out for injury. Great to see him back, but I think in general, based on what I saw from the comments, Lokonga was poor, Holding was poor. Pretty much everybody in the game was poor, and of course, Karl Hein. It was unfortunate for him to concede that penalty because he slipped. Thank God he wasn't get sent off, but Danny Welbeck again. I know he showed quite a bit of love to Arsenal. He scored against United back in 2015 FA Cup. He celebrated, but he didn't celebrate against us. You know what? Big shout out to that guy Welps. Of course, certainly still miss him. Honestly, it felt like a bummer how he left the club. Not how he left the club, but how his season ended in that season, because I felt like he was having a pretty good campaign, scoring pretty much every Europa League appearance until he broke his leg or something like that. But you know what? I'm happy that he found consistency within a team that truly enjoys his skills and experience. And moving on to today's game against Wolves, again, I didn't really quite pay too much attention to it. I was pretty much cooking lunch for my girlfriend, so it was quite a bit of a mess. Keep looking left to my monitor and also on the right where my kitchen was. And honestly, starting 11 was totally fine. Completely expected that. That starting 11, I'm not even surprised at all, to be honest. I just love it, to be honest. And yeah, apparently Shaka, within 5 minutes he's gone. Apparently got some illness and stuff like that. Apparently everybody in the team felt it as well, but hopefully nothing too serious. I'm sure it's something with the pre-match meal or something like that. Apparently other people in the team felt that as well. I don't know who, but certainly Shaka was, felt something enough that, couldn't allow him to continue the game, which was honestly quite scary, because of the fact that we don't have his caliber in that position. Of course, we did link with Tielemans back in the summer transfer window. That did not happen. We all thought that Tielemans was going to sign for Arsenal, which was quite of a bummer in the end. And right now we put on Fabio Vieira. Apparently, you know what? It would make sense you put him there ahead of Lakonga. Again, based on what Xhaka was playing, he kind of played up front, same as Vieira as well. And the game just kind of went back and forth. You guys can see how Wolves sat down, or set deep in their back line and hit us with the counter, and we kind of got lucky away here and there. Remember, there's one where Saliba was the challenge in the end, but I wasn't quite sure. But when you have Adama Traore on the right hand side, it is going to be a stress. But thankfully, Gabriel Partey and also Saliba did well enough job to stop him from advancing and stuff like that. Thank God that did not happen, to be honest. Or else, I'm kind of getting that type of flashback, a few years ago, where we go to Molineux and we get battered every time we went there. But this time, it was a completely different scoreline. Very happy about the result, to be honest, but we got to move on to, pretty much the first half. We got a few chances. Gabriel Jesus scored, but unfortunately it was an offside, and I thought, oh wow, I knew it was an offside, but it would have been amazing if he scored that one. He definitely needed that before going to the World Cup. And yeah, first half pretty much where we went back and forth. I think Wolves had their moments as well. Apparently they are the lowest scoring team. Only 8 goals so far in the first 14-15 games for them. So, and they're sitting at dead last at this point. Who would have thought within a year or two they're sitting at dead last? Honestly, I thought they were a team where I think they could have they can go for top 5 or top 6. And unfortunately, we just don't quite see them in this season, and it's really hard for them to climb back out. And at the same time, I don't want to see them getting relegated, but at the same time, it's tough. They beat us quite a couple of times in the past, and certainly you do not want to kind of face them again, every year. And second half we started slightly better, got a few chances as well. Gabriel Jesus, again, with another chance, but this time, unfortunately, hitting the bar. Not, he just didn't have any luck as well. And I gotta say, he needed that goal so much. You guys can see how disappointed he was after missing that chance. And at the back, I want to talk about the back line. Seems to be a little bit shaky. Saliba made a mistake here and there, but you know what? The good thing about our defense is when Saliba wasn't having a good game, Gabriel stepped up, and vice versa. And we love that. We want a team. We want a partnership, especially in the middle, where they have a partnership where when one of them didn't play well, the other one just kind of like compensate what they didn't do. And that's how our defense is pretty much for the majority of the season. I'm loving that as well. And finally, the goal came in around 60 of something minutes, and finally breaking the deadlock as well. Great pass by Gabriel Jesus. And Fabio Vieira has been quite quiet throughout the whole game, but certainly that assist silenced some of the criticizer or the haters, perhaps. I know it was quite a bit of a strong word, but I think he had a pretty good game, to be honest. I think Fabio Vieira, after that assist, seems to be picking up a little bit of momentum. Feels good about himself, definitely with the assist. I believe that would be his first assist in the Premier League, and he definitely needed that. Definitely needed some sort of a booster right there, and he got that. I very loved the assist as well. He wasn't thinking about going for goal. Instead, kind of cross it, chips it in an area where Odegaard and also Saka could also went for it as well. We took a 1-0 lead, and it felt like we were being suppressed at one point. It was a little bit terrifying, but thank God in the 70th minute, Odegaard with another goal. Good finish as well, aiming at the bottom left corner. Jose Sarr couldn't save that one, but thankfully we did the job right there and we won this game. I wouldn't necessarily say comfortably, but certainly we definitely do need a win in times like this. Going into the whole World Cup game. Which is happening in 6 days or something like that, which is honestly very fast. And of course there's another, I don't know if there's games tomorrow, to be honest. I think there's a United game tomorrow. Yeah, there's a United game tomorrow morning as well. So definitely I don't want United to win, of course, but as an Arsenal fan, it is a very, very good result for us. City dropping points, and Spurs again just kind of got the last 2 goals. You know what? Kudos to them making a comeback. And Newcastle United, how good that team is going into the December break, the World Cup break. And honestly, I think I will see Newcastle finish up, like top 6 or even top 4 at this moment. And Chelsea is having a difficult time. Again, I'm not a Chelsea fan, not an expert to it, but you know what? I will let them solve it amongst themselves. But again, as an Arsenal fan, it's something that I'm very, very very grateful for. Is what a time to be alive. To be honest, I don't think. I don't know since when, but certainly there were stats where Arsenal had been, at the top of the league table by Christmas, but somehow bottled in the end. Hopefully, this is not going to be a season, but the January transfer window was definitely going to be a big, big topic coming into a month or two. I don't know how Arteta's gonna try and strengthen his team. And certainly the squad, the rotation needs to be addressed as soon as possible. I'm not saying they're like really, really bad, but certainly we could have exercised other options as well. Transfer rumors were flying in terms of Kyle Mudryk and also Danilo as well. These videos or these topics will be covered in another video, because honestly, I wouldn't be doing this kind of a match day preview until Boxing Day, which is 43 days? Was it 41 or 43 days? Either one of them. Still more than a month without Premier League. It is going to be sad. I'm already sad, to be honest. But it's I guess it's nice to have World Cup in between. Again, the whole tournament is just infuriating, because I feel bad for some of the players. Reece James, first World Cup, I believe, and he was entering into his prime, even if he is not even in his prime, but about to enter in his prime. World Cup, again, a big competition for pretty much every football player around the world. Of course, even though if you get picked but you don't play, you still have the privilege and say, hey, I used to be in the World Cup team back in whatever 2004, 2008. You didn't play, but you were part of the squad. And again, a lot of players seems to be picking up injuries in the latter stage of the kind of the first part of the season. Very infuriating for them. But again, this type of thing will be leave it up to another video, I assume. So Arsenal at the top of the league table, 37 points, 5-point clears of Man City at this point. Loving it, and hopefully Arsenal will be back Boxing Day, and further down we are going to prove them wrong, because based on what we're seeing right here, it's really hard to say that we're not a title contender. And before I go, there's one thing I do want to talk about. It's the fact that I wanted to expand this Arsenal podcast into a actual legitimate podcast on its own. I was thinking about opening up a kind of like there's a website called Acast where I can put out the podcast there. So I was thinking about doing that. It allows me to kind of separate this segment into another part of the project. Again, this whole channel, Swagginess, whatever you guys call it. Certainly, I do not like the name at all. I want to change it, but I think it was slightly a little bit too late. So I was thinking maybe maybe the whole Arsenal podcast, or any footballing knowledge or videos will be posted in another video, so I can kind of separate between these two. I still want this channel, wherever you guys are listening right now, to be like the main channel for gaming and stuff like that. I know I wouldn't have much time in the future, but certainly I do want that. I do want that separation. And of course, the Acast thing, I want to put my podcast right here, the Arsenal podcast, into another different segment, just kind of distinguish between these two. And of course, trying to expand my channel a little bit, reaching out, all the Arsenal fans in Vancouver, Canada, not just in Vancouver, Canada, but also Canada in general, or even North America in general, or even to the world. Who knows? But I'll update you guys later about that. But if there's any update, I will certainly allow you guys to know. But thank you guys for listening. Really much appreciate that. Hope you guys enjoyed a nice day. And like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in a bit.